Hey there. So I am here in my bed and breakfast in Guayaquil, Ecuador, just off of the previous 9 days in the Galapagos, which was an amazing experience. And while I was sad to leave the Galapagos, I'm very excited to be going to Peru next week. But in the meantime, as some of you know from my personal Facebook page, and even the Introvert Travels Facebook page, I believe, as well, I made note that there was some flooding in northern parts of Peru, some torrential downpours and mudslides and all that sort of stuff. So it sort of rearranged my travel plans, and unfortunately I'm kind of in Guayaquil a little bit longer than I was planning to. But with travel, I think a lot of it has to be sort of built-in flexibility. But that said, it's actually a really good comparison and contrast, because before I went to the Galapagos, I went to this amazing boutique-style hotel about 45 minutes to an hour outside of downtown Guayaquil. It's an upscale suburb of Guayaquil, and it's called San Borondon. And the tour of the property was incredible, some beautiful orchid gardens. It's kind of in the Centro Histórico of Guayaquil, so you get this like restored neighborhood with old architecture. You're staying in this beautifully restored traditional style hotel, and in fact they have an original cathedral that's built into that hotel. The thing is that is a very pricey option, so it's a great option if you wanted to kind of crash land at Guayaquil after a long international flight into Ecuador on your way to the Galapagos, or if you wanted to kind of celebrate the end of a really successful trip to the Galapagos, you might want to splurge on a nice hotel in Guayaquil for a night or two on your way back to give yourself kind of that juice to get back home. Otherwise, you can do it like what I'm doing right now. I mentioned that I'm coming at you from a B&B in downtown Guayaquil. It's really well located. The thing is that the city of Guayaquil holds virtually no appeal for practically anyone. So if you're thinking of coming to, or if you're thinking of adding a few extra days to your Galapagos itinerary on your way either down here or back, maybe you found a good flight deal, and you have a few extra days to kill, you might be kind of stuck in this purgatory. So you could, if you have time, go to some really fascinating places throughout Ecuador. You could visit Quito, you could go to Baños, you could even go up to Cuenca, which is about a 4-hour bus ride or a really quick plane trip. But there's a ton of stuff to do in Ecuador. But if you're just on a quick trip to the Galapagos and you have to go back to work, then you may find yourself with a few extra days in Guayaquil. So first option is to tour the rest of the country, which I think is a really fabulous choice if you have the vacation time. The other option would be to stay at something like the Hotel Histórico that I mentioned earlier, which comes at a much higher price tag, but is a really boutique experience. You're not in the thick of Guayaquil. You really kind of are transported back into a different kind of era, and really, really beautiful property. Or you could, if you're looking to cut corners, this is where you should cut corners. You should spend the money to do the Galapagos really well. You should spend the money for a cruise to go island hopping throughout the Galapagos, which is the most common and I think the best way to see the Galapagos. I'm actually going to be writing more blogs about this in the coming days. My computer, unfortunately, my computer is broken, but fortunately, I figured that out before I left for my Peruvian trips. I was with the repair guy right now, so fingers crossed I'll be able to start blogging about some tips and things that I've been working on here in the Galapagos, and Ecuador for that matter too. When I say that I have the best on-site suppliers, I really mean like some of these guys have become personal friends of mine, and I'm really excited to be building some cool itineraries for people to places like the Galapagos. I'm working with another supplier for Machu Picchu if you're interested in trips to Peru. But really my whole reason for being in South America is to find these really cool experiences for people, do them, and actually do things from multiple different perspectives too. You'll see in future posts where I was staying in the Galapagos, and it really runs the gamut. And I understand that some of these trips are sort of stretch budgets or kind of bucket list type of destinations for people to really make a plan for in the future. but it can be done. And so I want to kind of show people the various ways that you can do the Galapagos but still get the most out of the experience. Because again, I'm always going to suggest a cruise. I'm always going to suggest a certain type of cruise because they're not all created equally. And if you Google anything about the Galapagos, a lot of times you'll hear people talking about how it's necessary to, or how they recommend you go there without a plan and then you just purchase one of these packages at a dive shop or a snorkeling center. There's plenty of them around town in Puerto Vallarta. And while that is true, you can book these just quick day trips. It's not the best way to do it. And so I'd really discourage people who are considering doing that to really invest your money in a cruise. And again, I'm going to go all into detail in future blog posts and other videos and things that I recorded. I had such limited internet when I was on board the cruise ship in the Galapagos and pretty restricted internet even when I was on dry land. So I'm going to be kind of postponing my Galapagos updates. I think it will start, if not next week because I'm going to be on tour in Peru, it'll start in synchronicity the following week so that it'll be going like Monday to Monday. My Tuesday post will be about my Tuesday, so you understand, so it's kind of like parallel. But yeah, it's a busy time. I am having an amazing experience meeting some really cool on-site suppliers. Anybody say anything? Hey, Kelly, Mila, how are you? So yeah, if you're curious about what I've been doing, I'm going to be posting a lot of my updates in my private Facebook group. So if you haven't already joined, you can join @Introvert Travels here on Facebook. I'm also Instagramming, but again, that's more like kind of my tour stuff. But really in the Facebook group is an awesome place I'm trying to build to become like a cool little way for me to pull back the curtains on what exactly that it is that I'm doing. And also have more like direct access between me and my past and my future clients, people who can share their awesome travel photography, their upcoming travel plans, either with me or on their own. If you have questions, travel-related questions, it's sort of like my open door policy in my Facebook group. So if you're interested in kind of seeing what's going on, or different packages when I put them together, or if you want to put it together your own trip, that's a great way to keep directly in touch with me in the Facebook group. But otherwise, you can always send me an instant message or whatever. Yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoy following along. I'll be posting, like I said, hopefully, presumably if I have internet. That's a big issue. I may be live posting my Peruvian trip, but otherwise, all of my future posts, my blog posts and social media will be synchronized for the respective days, which is a couple of weeks delayed. So that's how I'm doing it, and I'm doing really well, and I hope you are too. So drop a note, say hello, and I'll talk to you soon.